Yeah, thanks. Thanks, guys, for being on the panel. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I'm going to get down to this very quickly. So we have the title of the session is rather a mouthful. Okay, so chat to checkout, but I like the chat to checkout, so that's really neat. So basically, it's about conversational commerce is about, and please correct me if I'm wrong, about conversing with the customer as he or she is in the process of buying something while they are still on the platform, correct? Largely. So that's how it is. So I'm not going to get much more into this. That's broadly what it is. It's live, it's personal, and it is quick, right? And so the experience continues. I think WhatsApp is probably the biggest platform, I assume, in India at this point. So you stay on WhatsApp and you carry on with your exploring and things like that. So what I'm going to do now is, I'll start with you, Avi. What I would like each of you to, the three of you to do, and then I'll come to you, Sunny, with something else. Tell me that from where you are, you're in the online gifting business, right, F&P. What does conversational commerce mean to you? What is the exciting aspect of it? So something peculiar to your businesses. What is the hope you see in it? We'll come to the challenges later. Okay.
The hope is big. Sometimes I feel it's too big. So F&P is the largest, online gifting platform, and we're in the business of delivering emotions. We spread joy by fulfilling the emotion of the customer, which is the sender, to the receiver through a gift. And the chat to a checkout or the chat process can really enhance the customer's experience. What is the usual thing that happens when you think of gifting or you think of giving something to somebody? There is that dilemma that what is the right gift for me? What is it that should be the right gift for that person, that relation, that occasion, so on and so forth. Because there is that emotion, you want to delight the person who's receiving the gift. Hence, discovery becomes very important. So how do you make sure that the customer is able to discover the right products? While there is the entire curation on the pages, there is also chat which helps you to do that. And there is a gift finder, which is in the form of a chat, which helps you to find the right kind of gift for your, for the person who's in the discovery mode. Post the discovery mode, how can you make it seamless for the customer to do the checkout? So once you've helped them to shortlist the right kind of product, if there is, say, some pain point within the journey where maybe the payment is not successful or the person is not able to, find the right kind of a deliverable PIN code, and so on and so forth. How is it that could be solved, which is really the, order delivery mechanism. And then while we are talking about checkout, but post the checkout and post delivery, also post the order confirmation, also there is a large part that a chat would play, which is in terms of the customer resolution.
No, but Avi, I especially wanted to know, and you started with that, which was like what is peculiar to your business. So your thing was the uncertainty about what to gift, right? And that's where the chatbot does something which it may not do for them, for example, right? So that's the peculiar thing. And then some things will be common to everybody, right?
Sure.
Hey, what about you, Prasun?
Well, I represent real estate as a platform. So in real estate, primarily, the role of chat is...
So one thing I would just like to say, point out, which is pretty obvious, that in real estate, the value is very high.
Correct.
So unlike, say, for you, Rajesh, or for you, Avi, in real estate, it would be quite different, right? The purpose that something like chat could do.
Correct. Which is why the expectations also will be peculiar to real estate. And I think primarily the role that chat-based solutions play is in the discovery and research phase. Right? Real estate is a lot about research. And typically, a consumer on a platform stays for no less than 4 to 6 months before a final decision is taken to really identify a particular project to invest in, and so on and so forth. So right from initial need status where the buyer has started searching, finding things online, till about he or she has taken a decision, there's a lot of research involved in the process. And typically because there has been a lot of opaqueness in the industry in terms of flow of information, so there is a dependence therefore on technology as well, and also it's a liberator for them because this is allowing them to discover information which otherwise they would not have had access to, and therefore take a more meaningful decision. And that's, I think, is fantastic, and that's the role it's playing.
So the conversation, so one of the things is when the person comes back,
Yeah.
the person logs in. You have to log into.
You may log in or you may not log in as well.
So my point is that does the platform know this? It's the same person carrying on that conversation, or is it a new conversation each time?
So when the person logs in, yes, you do know. When the person is not logging in, we have processes to figure that out.
You
Whether
can,
you had
you
visited
can
us
figure
earlier,
out.
and therefore, what is it that you have been looking at?
Okay. What about you, Rajesh? What's it? What does it? What is the excitement when it comes to this?
See, our business is, I guess, equally complex. So after 30 years, even today, we still kind of have a mixed feeling about how technology is going to enable conversations. Well, we have gone the technology way, of course, but when a discovery on fashion happens, it's very personal, and it's about the fit, the color, even the buttons play a role, and a fabric texture. The touch and feel is very critical. So purchase decision is extremely personal, and what we've realized is, while 80% discovery happens online, shopping happens mostly offline.
How much of it? How much of the in fashion? How much of if fashion is the space that you define your business, then how much of it happens? The sale, how much happens online? And so discovery is mostly online, but in terms of sale, how much is online and offline?
So 10 to 15% is a range.
Sorry, how much?
10 to 15% of our business. The shopping happens online. The rest of it, well, 80% of the offline business is actually discovered online.
Yes,
so,
sure. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so that, because it's a bit complex, we have been experimenting multiple things. Bots do solve a lot of things. For example, queries and customer issues can be easily solved with it. But when it comes to shopping online, we have not probably, I wouldn't say we are there yet. So now we are building bots. When we tried bots, for the first time, let's say recommendation of style and fits, there was at least a 20 to 30% jump on conversions, etc.
So what exactly does
in the sense, somebody can actually explore, I'm looking for a, let's say a blue shirt, and then you throw a set of shirts. If there is an existing customer, then you pick up the fits which are favorite for the customer, pick the fit and throw the shirts, and also recommend what can go with it, etc., etc. But then it's a little complex, and we have a few thousands of SKUs. It's not perfect yet, so we're kind of still experimenting on the journey with it, but that's the direction we want to move forward, for sure.
So, as Avi mentioned, in his business, it's about kya gift karna chahiye. I mean, that's the big question, what should I do? In your case, the unusual thing is matching it with other garments as well, is that right? And in yours, it is a long drawn out conversation in your case. So it's the three are really quite different.
Matching as well as for which occasion. So there is
correct
personal preference, then there is matching of styles, then there is occasion, and also the price points. So colors, it's quite a complex decision making.
Okay. Yeah, thanks. Sunny, coming to you. We have a short of a mic, it's okay. No. So I just wanted to know that if you could provide a brief, because how old is your company?
So we are almost 4 years old. We're turning 4 next year.
Okay, well, fabulous. Yeah. That's great. So can you just tell us briefly
Sure.
how this, this conversational commerce has evolved in the last 4 years that you've seen it? Just, I mean, like what have been the, steps it has gone through?
Sure. So I think conversational commerce is a fairly recent term. Up until WhatsApp was there, we could see mom and shops, and we could see a lot of businesses that were using, standalone WhatsApp numbers to just, exchange information, So if you really see in a very simple, meaningful way, they were transacting in unknowingly that is, chat commerce. So, that has been happening since way too long. But in a structured manner, how, when we started, we were a typical basic chatbot platform doing a single channel. Whereas what we've seen is, consumers are interacting across channels, whether it's voice, email, WhatsApp, RCS today also, Instagram. So consumers are everywhere, so it's very important to know what they want, when they want, and based on their historical preferences, as well as, being able to predict in the best possible manner to get the best ROI for the brand. So I think it's become extremely efficient. It's becoming extremely efficient. It's becoming extremely personalized as we are, seeing more data points, more information, the technology getting matured, to be able to be in a better position to predict with more accuracy that this customer requires this at this particular point, or there would be highest probability to that, this X customer will want Y for his wife at this point. So as we're moving forward, we're coming into that era of personalization, and I think chat is just a facilitator to be able to help that. We are also having a lot of exposure to various data points for the same customer, various touch points, whether from the omni-channel side, from the offline side to the online side, to be able to be in a position where the customer is able to transact end to end. So again, there are various examples. I would take an example of one of our customers, IIFL, and they have disbursed. So right true to your topic, chat to checkout, right from the loan origination, where the customer has inquired on Facebook about a small ticket size loan of about 30, 40, 50,000 rupees. They're able to transact the entire loan disbursal journey, which became a case study with Meta itself, with us. So the customer was acquired through a digital platform like Meta or Google. The customer was qualified with certain questions, and basis that we had integrated CIBIL, PAN card. We also took the basic KYC on WhatsApp. Post that, we ran an algorithm to do a basic validation and checks to be able to identify what, based on their algorithm, what we could offer to the customer. And if the customer was okay with all of that, with the pre-qualification checks, we integrated the credit algorithms, and we did the entire disbursement with the button of a WhatsApp. So absolute seamless journey, and we've disbursed more than like 30, 40 crores of money for them.
Yeah, thank you. I want to know something about, you say you build there's a conversational AI chatbot builder. I'll come back to that. Tell me one thing. So as you started, Avi, saying that, I think perhaps there's too much expectation. But that happens with all, I think, new technologies, any new thing, which is that in the first phase, there's enormous promise. Then there's a sense of, actually it's not going to work for these things. It drops a little. And then some years later, again, it rises. Okay, that's typically I think, the projection that the path that new stuff takes. What is the stuff that you find challenging in terms of the expectation that the business has from, and what is the stuff that gets in the way?
See, a lot of shift is happening in terms of the consumer behavior itself. Today, rather than receiving calls, people prefer to chat at times, right? They prefer the chat mode, whether it is for information or it is for any query that needs to be resolved. Now, within all of this, there is the role of AI also that comes in. So there is that piece which a Gen AI or an AI agent would be able to solve, but at the same time, there needs to be a balance between what can be solved by an automated journey, a bot at the back end, and what could be solved by a human agent. And that is where the real solve is, or the challenge is, that after how many queries should a real agent take over? What are those signals that you can get through the chat that the customer is not able to get the answer to what they are looking for? And that is where you'll have to create the journeys in such a way where the customer experience or the customer solution is at the center. Sometimes what happens is that in the haste, and that's why I said that sometimes the hope is too big, is that we completely automate the journey. And there the customer is very confused or lost in the entire journey, not able to find a solution to their problem. and feels more frustrated than feeling delightful about the customer experience. And hence it's important to keep a balance between the two, that there should be a human element also to it if the solution is not there.
So how do you guys, in your business, how do you deal with it? How do you discover this is the point where somebody needs to step in?
So within our system internally, what we've done is that there are certain journeys where it is easy to create a solution completely through a bot. So if you want to know the status of your order, if you want to know that what is it, whether the product is available, not available, delivered, all of those things can be done directly by bot, and that reduces the pressure that is there on the entire human agents that are there. However, if there is a sales query that is there and there are more than 3, say, prompts that happen, then the 4th prompt then is shifted to a sales agent. Because we've taken a certain amount of information from the customer already, and the customer has now interacted 3 times. Now it means that they may be wanting to know more or a longer conversation, and also this is a keen or interested customer that is there. So then a human agent takes over.
So Prasun, Rajesh, how do you guys deal with this? The same thing. How far should chatbots go?
Yeah, in fact, I'll give you a case to the contrary to what Avi was saying. So there are cases where consumers specifically request that, listen, we do not wish to speak, but rather share information with us on WhatsApp, say for example. Okay, and we have had in our contact centers, last data that I had seen, close to about 70% of the calls that we were doing, there in some form or the other, consumers or buyers were requesting for information to be shared over text, over a chat, rather than being downloaded to them through a call or so that's.
But
it's a very
does it have to do
behavior.
because the values are very large and they're talking about how?
Yes, it also depends on really what the subject matter at hand is. So if someone has to see a project in detail and so on and so forth, for you to spend 20 minutes on a call to really figure that out is cumbersome, and therefore, so there are different use cases which require different kind of solutions. So what Avi was saying, that for them, after 3 prompts, it moves to a human. We have a process where after a certain number of prompts, it actually, kind of goes to a chatbot rather than a human.
How do you do that?
So
how do you say, Acha, now I'm good?
No, so what happens is more often than not, it's on the request of the consumer itself that, listen, we want to converse more, we want to know more, we want to figure more out, but this is the platform I'll be more comfortable in, and then we'll connect. And another challenge that we face...
Also, it can be time staggered, no?
It is time staggered, absolutely, absolutely.
Sure.
So because you have the buyer with you for a period of 4 to 6 months, right? Planning that entire journey, saying how many times you actually do an intervention in those 6 months, a proactive intervention from a brand's perspective, and how many of those interventions should be through call, through chat, or through any other means, is really a very, very complex algo to write. And we have nuances which are market-wise nuances.
Do you find patterns in this, that in certain types of queries, people prefer chat to a call, or in certain segments or in certain regions? Are there any patterns in this?
Yes, they do. There are very interesting insights that we have got over a period of time. So men again, it's very, very counterintuitive. Men talk more, women prefer more chat. Okay, and there are logics for that, but that's one.
What is the logic? I'm curious now.
Okay, so typically when the searches in real estate are happening, most of the searches are happening between 11 a.m. to about 3 p.m. types. So men folks are in their office and making good use of office internet, and kind of searching and figuring things out, and if there's a conversation happening at that point of time, they have more often than not enough time, and they also are they also are predisposed to, in this category, unfortunately, whichever you see it, it has been a very masculine category in a way. So they are predisposed to discussing these things, so it comes naturally to them. Okay. For women folks, it's not very natural to start discussing with an agent.
So they prefer
text.
Yeah, Rajesh, what about you?
See, it depends on how clear the consumer is for us. If it's an existing consumer and the consumer knows exactly the fits of Blackberrys and the size is very clear, it's a pretty smooth process. If the fit is not familiar, because we are known by fits, like we have fits like B95 and B90, etc. The fit is not clear, then we have solved it through a fit journey. Then the fit clarity comes, then it gets smoother. There are consumers who are not very clear on what fits their body type and what is a style they would like to build. So for them, that gets a little complex. There is a lot of conversation needed. We have launched services like video consultation, etc. now.
Okay.
Style
Oh, really?
consultation over video. We've just recently launched, where there is conversations about what fits the person.
Okay.
So that's a human conversation. So depending on how the consumer journey is, then the journey triggers.
Okay.
But then I think what comes in the way, what you pointed out also, is how the organization is also set up to solve for customers. For example, the front end, we are trying to figure at the hands of the front end staff at the stores, how do you get technology to enable them to have better conversations, right? So because people don't know if the consumer is an existing consumer or new consumer.
Correct.
If you're able to solve for it, we are almost there. Now we will be solving for it in the next couple of months. So that the consultation is, the conversation is very personal and unique to that personal consumer. So that's another use case where it's not just about consumer, it's also about organization internally.
Absolutely.
How do you make it meaningful, that conversation, right? So yeah, these are the various aspects we are working on.
So, Sunnyraj, in your case, I mean, you must have been over the last 4 years met companies. Your team would have met companies from across different businesses. If you were to separate and say these are the types of businesses which are more eager to adopt conversational commerce as opposed to these, how would you separate them? Is there a pattern in that?
So yeah, so I mean, typically what we've seen is we largely work with consumer-facing, BFSI brands and automotive brands and healthcare brands. We've largely
BFSI, automotive, and
healthcare.
These are the
That's
three
been
big
our
ones.
largest
Okay, all right.
adoption, or rather our focus that has been. And we've typically seen conversations have matured today with, and then we always tell our customers very simply that, it's an iterative process. It's not like a plug and play that you'll start today and it'll become perfect. With the role of the AI agent also that we are now, promoting, it also depends on the kind of data they are having, the cleanliness of the data, the knowledge base they are building. Because the more enriched the knowledge base, the better ultimately the product is a function of the data that they already have, right? So how enriched, so all those things are also now becoming a factor which was initially overlooked. So now they're having much more, there's a better data governance, there's better data management, and as a result of which we are able to also, leveraging various models, being able to create better bots. So if you were to ask me, typically that's the standard queries or the queries which are easier to respond are now automated. Like I'll give you an example of, say, Motilal Oswal, where 2,500 of their agents are leveraging our product to basically the first 3 questions that the typical consumer asks is now automated.
What are those questions?
Like, for example, what would be the opening fee of a demat account? Or what would be, what would be the exit charges? Like very standard 4, 5, 20, 30, 40 queries, which are, which is typically 70 to 80% of their query volume is now automated. And we've actually seen dramatic reduction of, the first response time, improvement in CSAT. So with a scale of, at that level, they have a database of 10 crore customers. We're able to automate a large part demonstrably. So, and I perfectly feel that, that can be replicated across various brands also for the typical queries. And then, as we move forward, we are able to integrate various other APIs and be able to give better responses across. Yeah.
Has the nature of the questions from your customers or your prospects, has it changed in the last 3, 4 years? The kind of questions they ask you and your team? The stuff, what holds them back? What is the stuff that they worry about?
I think
in adopting it?
sometimes, so when we talk about customers with very high touch consumer, experience, like say real estate also, or for example, like we have certain real estate customers also. So where they're selling, say, $1 million plus homes, they don't want to take the risk of having a bot respond to it. So we've seen, like we work with Audi, And Audi is a very personalized brand. It's a very premium luxury brand. They don't want to integrate bot at beyond a certain level, because they feel, you know, if someone who's a Q7 customer, they don't want a bot to respond to a 1 crore plus purchase. So I think typically in those segments,
But they do use bots.
they use for different purposes, not,
what?
they would typically use to identify what is the best mode to speak to the customer, what kind of campaigns is he responding to, what kind of campaigns he's not responding to. So things like that. So I mean, you know, GenAI is, you know, the customer front is just one part. It's a whole spectrum of things that can be done.
Correct.
From employee experience management to reducing attrition, to identify from the employee standpoint, from the consumer part also. So we have the discovery journey, we have the engagement journey, and then we have the retention journey. So depending on various use cases.
I just want to give you one very interesting
go ahead.
example over
Please.
there. So conversational commerce is playing in very, very interesting ways. We also are building a home interiors business. And he mentioned about video, and I'll just give you a very interesting fact and insight about the entire video conversation piece. So we have a process where we run, where once a person who's interested in getting interiors done, home interiors done, has expressed intent, we have a process of having a video chat, okay, where we converse with the consumer and we discuss the requirement in detail. That's the basic objective of that. Now, see to it, the average duration of that video chat is 46 minutes.
Seriously?
Okay? Yes. A serious consumer who's actually wanting to get the job done and is seeking value and is getting value does not hesitate in spending time with you, right? Of course, there are plethora of other use cases where there's a lot of spamming happening and you are unnecessarily intruding into things. But as long as you are solving a certain problem statement, as long as you're adding a certain value to the consumer is more than willing to stay with you and chat with you and either get query resolved or get something, in some information out of you. So that's a very, very interesting find that we had when we started that business, and it's doing really well that way.
I have to ask you, that is there a clear correlation? The longer they stay, the more they're likely to buy?
It is true.
It is true?
It is true. Okay. Yes, we have seen that.
Getting deeper, basically. Yeah?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is the stuff that, say, Avi, you would worry about now going forward? Also because of the expectation, as you said, I found that statement of yours interesting in the beginning, but like, there's maybe the expectation is too great, right? What is the stuff that worries you in terms of going to the next level? What might hold you back?
That's an interesting one. So, while there are many benefits that you can think of, which is very easy to scale up. You don't need to put in as many agents. It's technology, right? So even if your customer base increases, it's very fast to scale. The challenge is always into personalization. How do you personalize the experience? Because while there may be a bot at the back end, it is important to personalize based on the emotion of the customer. So, if it's Valentine's Day, and you need to send something to your partner, your girlfriend or your wife, and you need to know where that product actually is before it reaches to their partner, it's a very strong emotion at that point of time. It is important to understand those sense of urgencies, those emotions also. Also, personalization with respect to the choices, with respect to the behavior, and that is then driven by data a lot. So how you can use the various data points that are there for the customer into the chat experience that the customer is having. So how can a signed up user have a much better experience than what a non-logged in user may have?
Tell me something, Avi, in your business, it's very personal, right? I mean, it's a gift for a loved one, typically, okay? How do you worry that personalization may seem intrusive or creepy? Like, I come again a second time, your algo knows who I am, what I'll shop for, and there is a prompt saying this, so do you want to buy like what you bought last time? But it's not the same like ordering the same burger on Swiggy, I mean, it's not the same thing. How do you need to hold back at some point? Listen, I know you, but I'm going to pretend that I don't.
So Sreekant, that's a very good question. And interestingly, people trust machines more than humans at times. You know why? because you know that there's no human who's listening to this. There is privacy which will be maintained by a system. Today, if you get a call, you do not know whether it is an authorized call or not. Half of the times you are second guessing whether it's a fake or a spam call or what it is. While when the chat is happening in the ecosystem of the, say, platform, or even on a WhatsApp, it is a verified number, then the trust level is much more. And also, you think that there is a machine behind it who's solving for it. When you are entering your details on a Gmail, you don't think whether this email will be read by somebody else or not. So the trust factor, in fact, increases rather than decreasing.
Okay. We have only 22 seconds, so I'm going to ask a question I always love to ask, which is that if the five of us were sitting 2 years later on the same platform, and I hope we are sitting, would the nature of the conversation be any different? Would we be discussing different things from what we are discussing just now? In a sentence, each of you. You get more time to think.
So, generative AI is only increasing. We will see how, right now, we see a lot of text-based chat. There is voice-based chat also that is now there. But I think all the conversations will be very seamless in terms of generative AI also, which is voice-based or vernacular, where the customer will seamlessly interact with the customer, and we'll be having those conversations where not just from chat to checkout, but the entire journey could be done through AI.
Prasun?
Yes, it would be different.
How?
Thanks to generative AI, thanks to the development in LLM models across Vernac and a lot of other things. The conversation experience today is very, very different than what it was 2 years ago.
Correct.
And today, chatbots are far more intelligent and intuitive to be able to really resolve your question.
So what will be different 2 years later if you're sitting here?
2 years later, you are asking?
Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry.
well.
Not 2 years earlier, yeah. 2 years later.
Okay, that's a difficult one. I think 2 years later, I do expect at least AI to have developed a lot more. And therefore, a lot of solutions which have the backend engine running based on AI and defined algos, they would have refined them to an extent where maybe human intervention becomes as minimal as one can imagine it
Cool.
to be.
Great. Rajesh?
I think personalization would have become a hygiene in 2 years. I think no brands will talk about personalization. It would have been the hygiene of business. What will become a conversation, I feel, would be how do you meaningfully have personalized conversations, because that's going to be a difficult one.
Good point.
I think with improving technology, expectations of consumers will improve, will be significantly enhanced. Like now you see, back in the days, 30 minutes delivery was great, but now 9 minutes, 8 minutes. So customer expectations are also going to substantially increase when they know that, you're talking to a bot. Now it will be who has the better bot, right? So I think it will be more about who can implement the entire strategy better, who has the better partner. And I think that will typically differentiate, an entire customer experience. Obviously, personalization and scaling up, all of that will naturally be more matured with time. But then the entire proof of the pudding is, who executes it better, who understands data better and interprets it.
Thank you, guys. This is really very good, and I personally learned a lot. Thank you very much, audience. I hope you liked this session.